Welcome to The Explainer. We often wonder how power structures can stand place, sometimes for centuries. Well, today we're diving into a really fascinating theory that says the answer is hidden in an architecture built from belief systems, what our source calls mysticism, and how it quietly shapes our entire society.
So, this gets us to the core question, right? What role does mysticism really play in our lives? Is it a genuine source of comfort and meaning for us? Or could it also be a super sophisticated, almost invisible system of control?
Okay, so according to the theory we're looking at, society isn't just one big, jumbled mass. It's actually organized into three pretty distinct groups. And here's the crucial part. Each of these groups has a totally different psychological relationship with belief, and that very relationship is what locks them into their place in the whole hierarchy.
Let's start at the very bottom, at the base of the pyramid, with what the source calls the masses. We're talking about the largest group by far, making up a whopping 75% of the population. They're literally the foundation that the entire structure rests on.
For this group, mysticism works on a simple but incredibly powerful principle. It's all about the dynamic between suffering and reward. The idea is that all the hardship you face in daily life, it's made bearable by the promise of some future benefit, maybe even a heavenly one.
And this is exactly where the control mechanism kicks in. The source argues that suffering, on its own, naturally makes you want to fight back, to revolt. But that hope of a future reward, it acts like a powerful pacifier. It just kind of neutralizes all that revolutionary energy and gets people to accept things as they are.
This source uses this really stark metaphor to drive the point home. The system doesn't get rid of the pain, it just channels it somewhere else. It functions, and I'm quoting here, like a slow but certain disease, making sure that any real impulse for change is always kept in check.
Okay, next up, let's move up that pyramid to the middle. This group makes up around 20% of the population, and they find themselves kind of caught, feeling the squeeze from both above and below.
So for this group, the whole psychological game is different. It's like this internal tug of war between the ambition to climb higher and, the comfortable acceptance of just staying put. And what's really interesting is that mysticism, according to this theory, fuels both sides of that conflict.
So, that drive to get ahead is framed as a virtue, right? Perseverance? But the source argues this is basically just a carrot being dangled by those in power. It's a promise that if you just work hard and have faith, you'll be rewarded, which keeps the middle class striving, but always within the existing system.
And here's the other side of the coin, the thing that stops them. Just when that ambition might push this group to demand real change, the fear of losing what they've already got pulls them right back. Their complacency, which is often justified by beliefs about being content with your lot, keeps them from ever really rocking the boat.
And finally, we get to the very top of the pyramid, the powerful. This is the tiniest group, just over 1% of the population, but they are, of course, the most influential.
For the people in power, mysticism creates what the source calls the strongest internal conflict of all. It's this profound psychological split between feeling like you're chosen and at the same time feeling this intense, deep-seated guilt.
So on one side, the sheer scale of their power and responsibility can make them feel like they're divinely selected, part of some grand plan. But on the other side, their actions often cause harm, and that leads to an equally intense and very human sense of guilt and fear of sin.
And this quote just perfectly captures their paradox. To deal with the guilt that comes from the things they have to do to stay in power, they often dive even deeper into mysticism looking for forgiveness. So their potential to revolt, it basically turns inward, against themselves.
So let's just put it all together real quick. For the masses, you've got the promise of a future reward that pacifies their suffering. For the middle, it's a mix of perseverance and acceptance that creates complacency. And for the powerful, it's a conflict between destiny and guilt that turns their energy inward. Three different groups, three different psychological systems, but one very stable power structure.
And it's so important to get this next part. The source argues this isn't just about politics or something that happened recently. The claim is that these tendencies are actually hardwired into our human nature. It's like an evolutionary inheritance that has shaped everything from our religions to our morals.
Which leaves us with a final and pretty provocative question. In an age of AI, globalization, and technological change that's happening at a speed we've never seen before, are these ancient psychological patterns going to keep defining our world? Or could we be on the verge of something totally new, a fundamental shift in the very architecture of power itself?